The Euro USD, we've been caught within a consolidation phase right now between the 1.03750 level and the 1.03420. This is what we have here. This is where we were yesterday, at around the 1.03750 level yesterday, and we identified the selling pressure. In fact, we had a strong consolidation phase around that area, and I told you I took a position here yesterday. Though during the live session yesterday, I was running a loss yesterday, but fortunately for me, if you are part of this, well, kudos to you as well. Price moved over 50 pips in our favor before we started seeing this bullish momentum coming at this point. Now, with the current structure we have here, you can see how important the 1.03750 level is here. As you can see, price has continued to respect that level. We saw how selling pressure was found around this area during the live session yesterday, and in the last couple of hours now, we have been witnessing sharp rejection of the structure here. I hope you are in a sell position already on this Euro USD, because I have a re-entry running at this point in time, as I saw sharp rejection of the 1.03750 followed by selling pressure below that level on our lower time frame. And for me at this point in time, I'm still holding on to my sell position here, hoping that price will continue to the downside at this area. Now, there is one thing that I want to state here, considering the current structure we have here since the beginning of the week. One thing we observe here is that we have been witnessing buying pressure around the 1.03420 level since the beginning of this week, and we don't want to ignore the possibility that buyers could come in at this point. So like I told you yesterday, a breakdown of the 1.0420 level should be giving me a leverage to add more position. If price comes back, do a retest on my lower time frame, then I want to be adding more position to the trade. So if that does not happen, I would not be thinking of adding any position right now. I will continue to look out, stay in the sell position, and let's see how the sell position here will run out before the end of the week. Now, we had an event today, earlier today, that is on the euro. We had a core harmonized index of consumer prices, and then we have the harmonized index of consumer prices here as well, 10 o'clock. And what we have here wasn't a good figure, as the consensus or the variance, the deviation was minus 1.67, not a good data for the euro, and I don't think this really have much effect on this pair currently. So what I'll be looking forward to is we still have an event coming up later in the day. I think we have the HDP employment chain coming up in 2 hours from now, and the GDP annualized for Q3, and then we also have the Fed chairman's speech coming up in 7 hours from now. So these are the events that participants in this market are probably looking forward to, and you can see the reflection of this anticipation in this market reflecting on the chart in the form of a consolidation phase here, hereby emphasizing the indecision in this market. So what we have here is simply a consolidation phase between the 1.03750 level and the 1.03420 area. So what I'll be doing here is to readjust my demand zone so that it can fit in to the current structure we have here. So we've been witnessing a demand zone right above the 1.03420. So I'll extend this a little further. So we have a demand zone around here. So for further selling confirmation here, we are going to be waiting for price to break down the 1.0373420 level, taking out all the buy position that we have been witnessing here since the beginning of this week, giving us that bearish signal that price sellers have come to stay here, and if possible a retest of structure followed by selling pressure on our lower time frame. We want to be joining that decline to the downside. Now, there is one thing I would like to share with you here, especially for those who are not part of our session at the beginning of the week, and that is how important the 1.03750 level is for selling pressure in the last couple of months. So if we scale up a little bit to the daily time frame, let's see what we have here on the daily time frame. Now, look at what we have here on the daily time frame. As you can see here, the first thing you will observe here is that price action has been on a long-term bearish momentum. In fact, in the last 2 years, we have been witnessing a lower lows and lower high situation. And as a result of this, we have this bearish trend line figured out after connecting the series of lower highs here. And in addition to that structure here, here's the 1.03750 level, a level which I was trying to show you on the 1 hour time frame on how important that level is. If you go to as far back as the month of May, you would observe how this level has been a major determinant of price action. Look at what happened here in the month of May. We saw buying pressure around this area. The same thing happened here in the month of June, before we finally witnessed the breakdown of that structure in the month of July. And since the breakdown happened in the month of July, price has continued to trade below the structure, hereby emphasizing the strength of the sellers at this point in the market. So at the beginning of the month, we had a breakout of the $1 mark area, which led to price coming back into that structure. And as you can see here, as soon as price got into the 1.03750 level, we started seeing a consolidation phase around this area, which is more or less characterized by a lot of selling pressure from that area. And if you look at the structure we have here, we have witnessed selling pressure here in the past, that is in the month of August. We also saw selling pressure around this area in the month of July as well. And with the selling pressure around this area, I'm of the opinion that price action might be going to the downside from this level. And in addition to this, we also have this level also sharing a confluence with that bearish trend line that has been holding selling pressure since the beginning of the year. So with the current situation here, I'm still tending towards a bearish momentum here, where the current structure might transition into a reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure, as long as price cannot break the previous high here. Well, I will be looking for a situation where price comes back into probably the key level here at the $1 mark area before we start seeing another wave of bullish momentum at this point. So since the beginning of the week, we have been looking forward to setting pressure around here. So what we did at the beginning of the week was to understand how participants in the market is actually relating to the 1.03750 level. And remember, we have the NFP coming up later on in this week. On Friday, we have the NFP, a very key event that is coming up. And obviously, we can see how participants are actually anticipating that event, and this can be seen on the chart as this consolidation phase that we have around this area. So if anything happens around here, is going to be very huge, it's going to be massive. So we want to be on standby so that we can take advantage of this move when it finally happens. Now, in as much as we are looking for selling opportunities here, that price might break down the structure to same price coming back probably into the $1 mark area, at least in the meantime. We should not ignore the possibility that price might continue to the upside here. So for price to go to the upside and for us to buy, I want to see price climb above the 1.03750 level, followed by buying pressure right above the 1.03750 or around the 1.03750 level to give me a signal that we might be going for a bullish momentum here. But if that does not happen and price continue to trade below the 1.03750 level, well, I'll be left with no choice than to look out for selling opportunities on my lower time frame. So with the information we have here on the daily time frame, let's scale back down to the 1 hour time frame. Let's see what is really happening here. Let's see what structure price action is evolving into, and let's use whatever we find there to make a decision for today. Now, scaling back down to the 1 hour time frame. So here we are on the 1 hour time frame. Sorry. Okay. So right back on the 1 hour time frame. This is where we are. And on the 1 hour time frame, the first thing we should observe here is this bearish momentum that we can see here. And after connecting the series of lower highs here since last week, we can see we had this bearish trend line figured out here, though we had a breakout here on Monday, which was a massive one, which led into a false breakout of the 1.0450 level. And remember, we have been enjoying this bearish momentum since the beginning of the week, right down to this level. Price broke down the bearish trend line one more time, and since then price has continued to retest that bearish trend line, hereby emphasizing the strength of the sellers at this point. we saw the same thing happen here a couple of hours ago, the same rejection of that level, which also shares a confluence with that 1.03750 level that we identified on the daily time frame. So sharp rejection of that level is more or less a sign that sellers are still very, very strong in this market. But we cannot ignore this buying up pressure that we have been witnessing here since the beginning of the week. So despite the fact that we have been seeing selling pressure, which is characterized by this bearish trend line, we can see our buyers are trying as much as possible to negate all the selling pressure around the 1.03 420 1.03 400 area since the beginning of the week. So like I said earlier, let's wait out for a breakdown of the 1.03 420 in such a way that we have a situation like this, price breaking down below the 1.03 420 level, an area where I said I will be looking forward to selling pressure after taking out all the buy position here to join that decline to the downside. So let's see how this is going to be playing out in the next couple of hours here. So for our selling pressure, if you had missed out on this opportunity right below the 1.03750 level, let's wait for price to break down, retest the structure on our lower time frame so that we can join that sell continuation to the downside. So now for our take profit target, well, like I told you on the daily time frame, I'm looking at the $1 mark area at this point, which is a long-term perspective here. If you look at how many pips that is going to fetch us, let's see how many pips that is going to be. Hold on a second. So we have the $1 mark area here. Hold on, let me project this out a little further. So we have the $1 mark here. So we should be having over 350 pips to catch there if price continue as far as that. But in the meantime, because I'm not sure if the movement that we are expecting would is so huge that it's going to take a 350 pips move in the next 2 days. I'm not sure. So in the meantime, let's have our take profit target somewhere around the 1.02500 level, a strong psychological level somewhere around here, which should be giving us about 120 pips thereabout. Or we could extend it to as far as the 1.0100 level, wherever it may suit you. And as soon as price gets into the 1.0 to 500 level, which I was able to identify around here, you move your stop loss accordingly, maybe probably somewhere around the 1.03150 level, and let's see if price will continue to go to the downside from that level. So these are my views here on the Euro USD, and let's see how price action plays out in the next couple of hours. Now, another thing I may mention here on the daily time frame is that we cannot ignore the possibility that buyers could take over this market, considering this demand zone that we have been witnessing here. So what we want to be seeing to buy the Euro USD is to see price take out the 1.03750 level, take out all the sell position here. Then we want to be seeing that as a bullish signal, or probably we could be looking out for buying pressure right above this area on our lower time frame. Then we could actually join the rally to the upside. But if that does not happen and price continue to oscillate below the 1.03750 level, I want to remain comfortable in my sell position. So that is my view here on the Euro USD. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I will be of help in that regard.